Hello guys and welcome back to yet another video. Now today we are talking about the Tournament of Power. As Super has ended, we have more freedom to talk about all of the episodes throughout the Universe Survival arc, aka the Tournament of Power arc, and I believe it's actually a tonal mess. And I know there's a lot of good moments in the Tournament of Power, such as the important character moments with, the Muten Roshi, and there's also a lot of incredible action, especially in episodes 130 and 131, and also throughout episode 116, just great action in certain places, and a lot of very interesting themes, but I think that just, gets thrown to the wayside with the tonal mess of the arc. And joining me today is MJxTV. Please say hello.
Hello, how are you doing? I'm MJ.
I'm doing okay, very tired. I have uni in a couple of hours, so yeah, how are you doing?
I'm doing fairly well. So yeah, let's talk about Super and why it sucks. I'm just kidding. Don't roast me in the comments. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, this is a rant video exposing Super. No, but yeah, like I personally think for Tournament Power, leading up to it, like, it was kind of supposed to be a very sort of dark arc, because it has, like, a lot of dark elements. I mean, universes are being, like, erased, and one of the key factors of how this, arc, the way it's presented is supposed to be dark is that, the world of Void, it's completely, like, brown and sort of very smoggy, and it just looks like a very unsettling place. And as the tournament goes on, there's, light. There's more light. It goes to green and then sort of a blue, purple, and then it just goes back to normal when they go out to the normal world. There's a continuation there. There's a direction choice that, there's a stylistic choice that makes it so that as the tournament goes on, there's more light at the end of the tunnel as, more hope starts to, beam down for the characters. In the beginning, it was kind of dark and depressing with Universe 9, getting erased, and, everyone was silent. So there's been a lot of dark moments, and that's sort of weaved into the tournament, but I just think that the light-hearted moments also takes their place. Like, Cauliflower's a very light-hearted character. Cauliflower isn't too bad. Like, she isn't too bad. But, people like Ribrianne or, like, some of the more jokey characters kind of get in the way, and they kind of make the tournament seem more lighthearted than it should be. And the fact that there's no Bulma, there's no, like, sideline characters except for, like, the, people on the bleachers, the ones that got eliminated, kind of adds to this. There's no sort of moral support for Goku. There's no Bulma, there's no Chi-Chi, there's no Goten and Trunks. They're all, like, not there, so it's kind of a bleak and depressing tournament, which, kind of works because they have 40 minutes to basically ensure the erasure of other universes. It's quite a dark, concept, really. And I think that just kind of gets ruined a bit because of Ribrianne and, some of the more comical moments. And it's Dragon Ball, you're bound to have comical moments, but I just think, it's almost a bit too much.
I see your point, but I will have to disagree, and that's for a couple of reasons. Now, when we're talking about lighthearted moments, there are certain moments, like with Krillin, for example, I'll bring up, but this is anime only, not in the manga. In the anime, we get a very Dragon Ball 21st Tournament-esque elimination from Krillin, where he takes off his shoe, and his shoe is so stinky, he throws it on that wolf, and the wolf has heightened senses, because he's an animal, so it hits him extra hard, you know what I mean, and it throws him for a loop. That's very 21st-esque Tournament. It's almost like a Paige chicken out of Toriyama with Krillin versus Bacteria, or Krillin throwing the panties, at Roshi. That's very Toriyama-esque. That I'm okay with letting it happen because, like you said, it is Dragon Ball. However, I will address the characters, and what I mean by characters is obviously, like the Universe 3 robots being kind of wacky, and the Ribrianne and Cauliflower, Cauliflower, stuff like that. I will say this, though. Even though I do agree with you, this is supposed to be a very dark arc, you could also argue that the concept of the previous, you know what I mean, was, the previous arcs were also very dark as well. It may have not had as high as stakes, but they were pretty freaking dark. However, you still had lighthearted characters there to lighten up the mood, and I'm going to bring up 3 different points. 1, Peel Off Gang during the Battle of Gods arc, which, 2, Satan during the Boo arc. However, the Boo arc has been kind of perceived as a gag-like arc, but the concept of Piccolo kind of going, you can still kill everybody left on the planet before you come back here, and with Boo executing every single member on the planet except for, I guess, Ten Shinhan and Chaozu, and maybe possibly 17 of the stronger characters. Without him executing, those exceptions, everybody on Earth dies. The entire population is dead, yet you still have, Hercule and Mr. Satan and B with their comedy moments. Not as much as Ribrianne, and not as much as in the manga. The anime kind of, took it a bit step further, adding extra scenes with Satan, but obviously it's still there. Now, another example is Yajirobe during the Piccolo Daimao arc. The Piccolo Daimao arc being one of the first turning points where Dragon Ball got really serious, in a moment being where Krillin died. Again, the stakes are definitely not as high as what they are in the Universe Survival arc, but it's still a very deep and dark moment where Krillin is actually murdered for the first time, and yet in the next couple of panels, we get Yajirobe and we get some lighthearted moments and stuff like that with him, and kind of like a comic, a comedic relief character. I will say it was overdone a bit with Ribrianne and stuff like that, but I'm not gonna hold it against the arc, you know what I mean? There's other reasons why I think the arc is a mess, more so than it being toned down or the tonal shift being all over the place.
Yeah, and I think that one of the issues that you sort of brought up there is, so you don't think it's the character's fault necessarily? I don't think it's Ribrianne's fault that she was tied down in such a depressing sort of arc, but the arc itself has these ideas, it has these elements, these dark concepts, but they never really act upon it, so that could cause a bit of, a tonal shift. They never really act upon the dark elements of the arc. They address it with the Universe 9 erasure, but they really don't go all the way with it. They do have sort of stylistic choices here and there with the World of Void being depressing, but they never really act on the moral sensibilities of what the Universe 7 participants, and basically every participant of the Tournament of Power, are really doing when they're, eliminating people. So I agree that, the characters are not really to blame. It's just sort of, I guess it's just sort of why you have these stylistic choices and why have this dark concept for an arc without really pushing it and really pushing that narrative and pushing the tone,
No, yeah, I completely agree with you. Like I said, my issues with the arc come from execution, stuff with Jiren's character not properly being told to us. Well, not so much his origin story, just his overall character kind of just being executed better, you know what I mean? Earlier on, stuff like that, stuff like Topo's transformation in 126. My issue comes with just stuff not being executed properly, not so much of the tonal shift. I don't really think it hindered the arc, or it would make me call it a mess. I call it a mess for other reasons, because of what I just said, the whole stuff with Majin Buu. And even like I said, you can't argue that's more of a gag-like arc, and it's more so just Toriyama kind of doing what he wanted to do. The concept is still there, where you're seeing people getting murdered, yet you have comedic relief characters and Satan and stuff like that. And funny enough, I'm pretty sure that's why they put so much, emphasis on these characters, from Universe 2 and 3, is because we weren't shown characters like Bulma, Yajirobe, or Satan, the usual comedic relief characters from the previous arcs. So they had to introduce new characters to take over that role,
Yeah, no, that's a really good point. And I want you to let us know what you basically think about the Tournament of Power. Do you agree with MJ that it's not necessarily the tone that's the issue, but it's other problems in the arc? Now, I'm not disagreeing with MJ when I say, when he says that there's no other problems in the Tournament of Power. There's definitely a ton of issues with the Tournament of Power, as there is with every Dragon Ball. Dragon Ball is an extremely flawed franchise. It's an extremely enjoyable franchise, but it's extremely flawed as well. But, yeah. Do you agree with MJ that it's not necessarily the tone, Or do you agree with me that I believe the tone is a big issue and I think that it should have been sorted out and actually rectified and made a lot darker and more of an emphasis of the darkness, as a theme throughout the tournament? Well, let me know in the comment section down below. And also, please subscribe to MJxTV. He just does fantastic content. I'll leave a link in the description for your amusement. Please go sub. Please go check him out. Watch his videos. He does Dragon Ball and other anime-related content. Just fantastic stuff. Like, really. His versus battles are very in-depth. And, yeah. Please make sure to rate, comment, and subscribe. And we'll see you later.